let's talk about ansiedad. Hello and welcome to the Chingona Living Podcast. I am Anabel Quintanilla, transformational life and spiritual coach for Chingonas, and today we're going to talk about anxiety. We're going to talk about anxiety from a spiritual sense. We're going to talk about ansiedad that we feel when we're not connected to our truest essence. When we let our mind take over, when we let the ego run our life and run the show, and we feel completely disconnected from our core in this moment right now, we tend to feel a lot of emotions. And sometimes when we feel a lot of emotions all at once, we like to say that we're experiencing anxiety. I'm going to give you a couple of things that I like to teach when we're talking about anxiety, because everything is relevant, okay? I love to teach, and I have a new course available in the shop page of my website, anabelquintanilla.com. Go to the shop page and go to this course that is titled Manage Your Anxious Energía Like a Chingona. I didn't call it ansiedad, just anxious energía, because I want us to refer to everything that we feel as an energy, okay? Rather than just like labeling it with an emotion, and we walk around with this label as if I am sad, I am anxious, I am depressed, I am happy, I am joyful, I am empowered, as if that's all we can be. We are a lot of different things, and we vibrate different energies based on the thoughts that we're having throughout the day, all day, every day. So I titled the mini course, Manage Your Anxious Energía Like a Chingona. And go check it out. It's $22. I like to teach several things when it comes to anxiety. I like to teach that anxiety is an alarm that goes off in your body that is prompting you to look at something. Something needs attention, and anxiety is an alarm that goes off when your body or your mind say, hey, your spirit says, hey, pay attention. You're not paying attention, okay? When our alarm clocks go off at home, they signify that it's time to get up, that it's time to leave, that the oven is, ready to be turned off. The alarm signifies, hey, something needs attention. No big deal. We don't go crazy when that alarm goes off. No big deal. We turn the alarm off. We go and take care of the thing that needs to be taken care of. We turn the alarm off. When the smoke detector, which is an alarm, goes off in our house because you left the tortillas on the comal for far too long and now they're burnt and toasty and they're smoking up your kitchen, and the alarm goes off, no big deal. We don't go into panic. It's an alarm that says you need to turn on the vent and open up every single window and door in your house and fan in front of the smoke detector so that the fire department doesn't show up at your house, right? That's an alarm. We want those alarms. Thank God we have those alarms. Anxiety is an alarm as well that says, hey, something is out of alignment. Ponme atención. What is happening? Why are you thinking those things? Why are you thinking, I can't, I don't know how, this is terrible, I don't know what to do? Why are you thinking those things? I don't like those thoughts. Look at how they're making us feel. I don't like those thoughts. Look at how they're making us feel. Oh, but those thoughts are true. Yeah, but those thoughts aren't serving you. Your spirit is saying those thoughts are not serving you. There's something else that you could be thinking. Sometimes anxiety is not something that we produce with our own thoughts. Sometimes anxiety is the vibration that we feel because of the collective energy that's all around us. Sometimes we walk into a room and there's this heaviness in the room and we're like, whoo, I don't like the way this feels. I do not like the way this feels, right? Or we didn't disconnect from it, or we didn't shield ourselves from this energy. We didn't do our, magia, our brujeria to protect ourselves. Anxiety is a lot of different things. Anxiety it only has power and it only has control if you give it power and control. Anxiety just is. Anxiety is the worst. Okay, that's a thought. I think anxiety is an alarm. going off in your body, telling you that something needs to be looked at. You can go ahead and call it the worst. I'm going to call it an alarm. Anxiety is debilitating. You can certainly have the thought that anxiety is debilitating. I choose to have the thought that anxiety is anxiety. It's not going to ruin my life. It's not going to ruin my day. I'm going to look at what needs to be looked at. I'm going to change the thought that I can change. I'm going to disconnect from whatever energy I need to disconnect from. And there are times where you cannot shake it. There are times where we are meant to feel these things. We do not like it. We don't understand it. And it doesn't matter. We're not meant to like it. We're not meant to understand it. And it doesn't matter. Sometimes we feel things and we feel things. That's it. And I know that the thought of like, but I don't like it. I get it. Stop giving it your power. Why don't you like it? What are the thoughts that you have about it? What are the thoughts that you have about it? Change the thoughts that you have about it. I sliced my finger a couple of weeks ago, really deep, with a mandolin. I did not like it. It was very painful. It was very uncomfortable. And yet my life did not stop. It bled a lot. I had to call my husband and ask him to come and bandage me up because I couldn't do it myself. It did not stop me. It throbbed. I couldn't brush my hair. I couldn't hold a brush. I couldn't type. I couldn't take a shower. It was the most uncomfortable thing that I had experienced physically in a very long time. And it did not stop me. I went about my day feeling it. We are so afraid of discomfort. Thank you. We're so afraid of the discomfort that we're more afraid of the thought of the discomfort than we are of the discomfort itself. When it comes to anxiety, when it comes to anything, it just is. It is whatever thought we have, whatever thought our egoic mind has about this thing. So when I'm first coaching people, sometimes spirituality is so out there, they don't get it. It's unavailable to them. It does not make sense because they're so here in their egoic mind that if their brain cannot make sense of it, then they're going to completely turn themselves off to what I'm saying. So if this is happening to you, sayonara, have a great day. Come back when it resonates with you, right? Come back when you're ready to receive the message. And if you're still here, thanks for being here. When I'm first coaching people, I work a lot with their mind. I talk a lot about things like the basic thought loop, which helps you understand the connection between your thoughts and emotions and your actions. What is emotional energy? Where does your nervous system come into play when we're talking about this thing, the basic thought loop, right? I love to teach because it changes the game for everybody. That it is never the situation that causes you to feel anxiety. It's the thought that you're having about a situation. And I love to teach that anxiety is a cocktail of emotions. There's a lot of different things that we're thinking about any particular thing, and there's a lot of emotions that we're creating because of all of those different thoughts, and that cocktail of emotions is anxiety. I love to talk a lot about the brain because we need to know how to navigate through this earth, through this plane that we're on with our mind. Our mind is with us always, and it is operating at an unconscious level most of the time. Over 90% of the time, our mind is operating from a very unconscious level. So it behooves us to understand how the mind works and the power that we have to create new thinking that creates new neural pathways in our brain. It is imperative that we talk about the mind. And then as the coaching relationship begins to shift and they start to have control over their thinking and they realize that's just my ego. That's just my ego. That's just my ego. That's just my unconscious mind having these thoughts. These thoughts are optional. That when we understand the power of our mind and we know how it operates from the unconscious, who are we when we're not unconscious? What is consciousness? Who are we being? And that's when I love to talk about spirituality. And when we talk about anxiety and spirituality, anxiety is a human thing. Please know that your spiritual self does not experience anxiety. Your spiritual self, your higher consciousness, your super consciousness, that part of us that is directly connected to God, that is God, that comes from source, that is source. Because how do we make sense of all of this? How do we describe it in words, in human words? How do we describe this thing that is not worldly? How do we describe it with worldly words? That was a tongue twister. So when we talk about anxiety is a human thing. And sometimes we feel it at a human level because it is a way that our spirit tells us we are out of alignment with who we really are and what we are here to do. And before you go into this whole, I don't know who I am, you're not supposed to know, because knowing is of the ego. Knowing is of the ego. When you say, I don't know who I am, wonderful. You're open to spirituality. You're open to this higher you that isn't who you're trying to be on this earthly field. So for us spirituals who sometimes experience anxiety, it's because you're not being spiritual. It's because you have fallen back into your egoic and human ways. And you have disconnected, or so you think you have disconnected, because you're always connected. You're just not aware of the connection. You're not aware of the connection with your higher self. And so that alarm clock, or that alarm that goes off inside of us, is a signal to look at the ways that we are being. How are we operating? What are we doing? And is it time to realign? What needs to shift? What needs to go away? What needs to be welcomed back into our habits, into our life, so that we create that sense of connection all over again? The connection is always there. Just because you don't feel connected doesn't mean you are not connected. You would be dead if you were not connected. And some of us do feel dead on the inside. And that is another alarm telling you, look at it all. Look at it all. Ground yourself in your truth. What is my truth? You won't know until you know it. And I know that this podcast is different from what I've ever done in the past. And it's because it was meant to be different. It's because it was meant to attract a completely different listener today. It's meant for the chingona who knows she's a chingona and she's ready for deep peace, deep love, deep gratitude, forgiveness. It's meant for you. If you are walking through life feeling crazy in your body, crazy emotions, crazy, this feeling that you just cannot shake, I am inviting you to work with me. I am inviting you to join Amigas Chingonas, the women's, Amigas Chingonas, the healing and wellness comunidad. I'm inviting you to do a deep dive into your spiritual growth with me together. It's a 4 to 6 month container. We can talk about pricing. It's on my website. This wasn't going to be a sales pitch, and it's not. It's an invitation to explore. It's an invitation to remember who you are. And so if you were drawn in here because of the topic of anxiety, and you stayed because you understand the connection between your spiritual self and the human anxiety that you're experiencing, if you stayed because of that, thank you. I love you. I love this for you. Go to my website, anabelquintanilla.com. Go to the coaching tab or join the comunidad. Let's go a little deeper, amiga, because it's time to awaken your inner chingona. It's time to activate. It's time. And there are ways that you can do this. And I'm so excited for you. I can't wait for you to share your thoughts with me on this. I gotta go.